Hi there. My name is Jessica. I use she, her pronouns. If you're coming back, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks for joining. For today's class, we're going to get started in a supported hero pose, and that's sitting back on your knees. So you can certainly opt out of this if even with the support it doesn't feel good. Just have a seat, cross-leg seat down on the ground, however you'd like. If you'd like to try a supported hero pose, we'll find that here together. I like to use a few blocks underneath my seat to help out with this posture for support. So you can watch me and you can try or find your own way. I start by coming down onto the knees with my knees pretty close together. And then, as you can see, the blocks are situated behind me. And sometimes there's a little maneuvering of the blocks to get them in the right position. This is intense on the knees and on the feet and ankles. So if you have any issues there, don't fret about holding this posture. Just have a nice, comfortable seat. This is really good positioning for the hips, to release tension for the pelvic area, and to stretch out the lower body. So we'll just take a few moments here in silence, whichever variation of the seat you're trying today. Tuck the chin, spine is nice and tall, pull the shoulders back, chest comes forward. Close the eyes, soften the gaze if you'd like, and start to settle in. Find your breath. And make yourself a promise for this practice for the next 20-30 minutes to just be here, to not be anywhere else in your mind, in your emotions, in your heart. To be here in the sensation of the breath and the sensation of stretching the body. And if anything comes up, anything strong or heavy comes up emotionally, mentally, we can notice it. And we can choose to not engage in the thought. We can just notice it's there and let it dissipate. There's plenty of time after this practice to pick back up on those thoughts, those ideas, those concerns. And just a few more breaths here. And the next inhale, start to lift out of this. If you are in a hero's pose, send the hips up, come onto the knees. And if you're not there already, we're going to have a nice seat on the ground. So straight on the ground, extend the legs forward, and we're going to find deer pose. So we'll start with the legs wide, forward and wide here. And then I like to come into this by bringing my hands behind me and then drawing the soles of the feet or the heels down into the earth, and then dropping the knees over to one side. So from here, you can kind of play with the positioning of the legs. It might feel good to bring this back leg further up or further back. Find what feels good for you. And we're just gonna find a way to relax in this posture, to recline into this posture. So come forward and find your resting version of this. And maybe you have a pillow handy or some blocks handy, and you bring that to help you bring the ground a little closer like I am here. And we'll find stillness here. And notice if you are clenching in the glutes, in the groin area, maybe back here in the glute, and just kind of find a softness, let go. Let your hips kind of sink into the earth here. And the idea for this posture is for that back thigh, the inner thigh, to come in close contact with the ground. So if you have a big gap between the hip from the top of the thigh and the ground, that's fine. This is passive. So as you relax, you'll slowly open up here. And keep with that breath. Make sure it stays deep and expansive. And on the next inhale, start to lift yourself up from this posture, and we'll get prepared to take this on the other side. So take your time, move your props out of the way. Hands come behind you, come back to the soles of the feet, and shift the knees to the other direction, the other side. Take your time here, adjust yourself as you need to. And find a way to rest into this posture on the other side. Notice if the side feels different, and if you need to accommodate yourself differently on the side, please do so. Sometimes we get into this space of wanting things to be like perfect or symmetrical or the same on each side, and the truth is like that's just not always the case in our body. So be okay with, deviating from the plan. If we move differently on this side, let's be okay with that. Whether it's more open or more closed off or whatever the case is. Keep the breath moving. You're exploring patience here, or exploring silence here. And on the next inhale, start to lift yourself up out of this. And we'll prepare to come back to center here and come back towards the front of the mat. We're going to come down onto our stomach here. So take your time, maybe transition to hands and knees. Yes, let's come into hands and knees. Let's come to tabletop position. Walk the hands forward. So hands are not stacked under the shoulders. They're reached out, almost like you're going to press back into a child's pose with the knees together. And then shift into kind of like a modified plank from here. Splay those fingertips out. Tuck the elbows back. So the front of the elbows, the inside of the elbows point forward. Lower down. Lowering the elbows down. Coming all the way down onto the belly here. So kind of in a Cobra posture here. Hands are planted under the shoulders. Tops of the feet are relaxed down onto the mat. And just start to lift up here for a Cobra. So using the shoulders to lift the chest up. Press into the palms. Elbows are strong. Chest is strong. And just come up as far as you can. If you have any low back stuff going on, you can stay lower down here. Just take a moment. Take a few breaths here. If it feels good to wiggle from side to side, find that movement. And lower all the way down. Relax. You're going to stack the forearms in front of the face here and rest the face on one side. And we're going to find hug the earth. So we can start on the right side and just kind of bend that right knee. Bring the inner thigh down to the earth. And draw that knee up as high as you can while keeping the thigh hugged into the earth. The inside of the foot is flush to the ground as well, and the toes flexed up. And we're just gonna hang out here and breathe into the hip. And again, notice if your hips are tight, you might have a big space between the groin area and the ground. And if that's you, you can always bring like a block or a blanket or a little pillow or something into that space to support you if that feels good. Otherwise, just hang out here and let your body weight do the work and breathe. Relax the face. And let the breath feel back of the body. Notice how it expands through the back of the rib cage. Now that we're situated in this prone position on the belly, and let each exhale bring you a little bit deeper into the ground, a little bit closer to the earth. Give yourself the space to fully release into the ground that supports you. One more breath here. I could stay here all day, but one more breath. And lift the face up here. I'm gonna bring the left arm out. So palm down, extend that arm out. It might not be exactly parallel with the shoulder. Maybe that causes some pain or doesn't feel good, but bring it out. And from here, we're gonna lift this right leg up and we're gonna reach the foot back for the ground. So lift that knee up, reach the ball of the foot for the earth behind you, and the right hand can help you kickstand. If your left arm was extended, you should be getting a nice shoulder stretch here. And just take a moment to push yourself a little bit deeper into this. Play with the way your body is situated here. So it might feel good to kind of roll back onto the hip flexor and then come back onto the foot. Maybe you find some movement here. Maybe you open up that knee a little more and then roll back to center. Ooh, very good. Slowly come back to center. We'll find that little sequence on the other side. So stack the forearms, rest the face on the opposite side, and start to bring that left knee up. Hug the earth, opposite side. Again, remembering to relax that inner foot and inner thigh to the earth. Soften the glutes. Notice where you're clenching or holding tightly. We're in a safe space. We can relax into this. Tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system with this restful posture. And as we extend the breath, we bring ourselves to a state of rest, of relax, of reset, regeneration, growth, all of these things that our body can do when we're in a state of rest and relaxation. And sometimes we're so stressed out, we don't even get that way in sleep. We don't get into the deep sleep state when we're resting. So the more we can take time, if we know that we're prone to that kind of energy, that anxiousness, that nervousness, maybe we know that our adrenals are fatigued. We already know that about ourselves. The more ways that we can bring ourselves into this restful type of practice while we're awake, the more used to it our body is arriving there when we're sleeping, when we're actually supposed to be resting. So let's find the transition here. Start by lifting the face up. Extend the right arm out. Kickstand the left arm. We're going to lift that left knee and foot up and over. Yes, that's it. And so maybe the toe comes to the ground, maybe the ball of the foot comes to the ground, maybe the whole foot is down on the ground. Find what you like and find some playfulness in this shape here. So teetering a little in and out of this and see what feels good. Changing the position of the foot even. And we'll start to come back to the middle. Roll back onto your stomach. We're gonna find our Cobra pose again. So bring the palms underneath the shoulders. Relax and rest on the tops of the feet here. We're gonna press down into the tops of the feet when we lift up here. And maybe even the knees will come off of the mat. So take your time on the inhale, lift the shoulders up, lift the chest up, press into the palms. And maybe lengthen through the arms, maybe not. Press into the tops of the feet. Tuck the chin slightly so the back of the neck stays long. Yes, breathe. Ooh, exhale, lower down with control. Hug those elbows in, bend them back. Nice and controlled. Press into the palms. Chin comes all the way down. Inhale one more time. Lift up, shoulders lift up, chest lifts up, chin stays tucked, arms are strong, fingertips are strong. Exhale, lower down, slow with control, come down nice and strong, yes. We're gonna try that one more time. Next inhale, lift up, you got it. Nice and strong, like there's a walnut between your shoulder blades and you have to hold on to it. You can't let it go. And exhale, press into the upper body, elbows are back, lower all the way down. Bring the arms down to the sides here. Rest on one side of the face. Let the shoulders spill into the earth. Let the heels fall out. Find a softness. Surrender to the earth here. Let go. So the next intrusive thought, the next anxious thought that comes past your mind, think of it as a tennis ball and it's coming at you. It's coming at you pretty fast, but not so fast that you can't see it and you can't hit it. So right as it's coming through, right as it's about to come hit you, you take your big tennis rack and you whack it. You whack it so far away you can't see it anymore. And you come back here. You come back into the breath. You come back into this amazing body. You come back into this moment where there's peace, where there's ease, where there's space for you to just be. If you're resting on one side of the face and you don't have a mic on like me, lift your face up and rest on the other side of the face. Stretch that neck out. Keep those shoulders relaxed. Notice if they picked up tension again and they lifted up. Melt them down into the earth. Let everything be slack. Fingertips are easy. Ankles are easy. Toes are easy. Face is soft. Maybe your face is all squished up. Maybe you have a sleep face right now. That's perfect. Start to bring your hands underneath the shoulders, lift the face up, lift the chest up. Come onto hands and knees. Take your time. We're going to stay grounded. We're going to stay on our knees here. And we're going to find a supported pigeon pose. So find your bolster or your pillow and bring it in front of you. I'm going to demonstrate how I get into this depending on what you're using for support. If you're choosing to use support at all, you might need to come into this a little bit differently. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to step into a lunge. So I just stepped up and around this big bolster. And from here, I'm going to step my left foot across to the right side. I'm going to bring my hands down to the mat. You could use blocks for this. And I'm going to find my pigeon pose with this bolster under my hip and under my thigh. And that just makes it so much easier. And then from there, I'm going to find a way to rest into this posture. I've got one block here that I'll bring my elbows to. I'm just going to hang out. So this is really easy. Nothing is forced here. You can also find this with a block under the hip, but I like the extra cushiness of this bolster. It's really nice. And we'll take a minute here in silence. Again, soften the places that are holding tightly, that are trying to protect you. And we say soften because we're all holding on too tightly, but also physically our muscles release and stretch more efficiently when they're not tense, when they're soft. So we soften to get the integrity of the stretch because we're here, so we might as well get all that's there for us, all that's possible. We might as well open up the muscles, release the body, exercise, move that physical manifestation of stress and tension out of our body. And those gateways, that door only opens fully when we can relax and accept it. When we're tense, we're fighting it, we're denying it. So you might relax, you might stretch a little bit, but not as much as you could. Let that hip flexor melt into the prop. Let your upper body get heavy. Let the head get heavy. Start to lift your way out of this. Take your time. Come back to hands and knees. You might have to negotiate with your props, with your space, like I did. I wasn't even going to try to tell you how to get out of that one. Let's come back to hands and knees, and we'll step forward into our lunge again, or find your pigeon pose on the opposite side, however you want to get there. I'll step into my lunge again, and then heel toe the right foot over to the left side. And then bring my shin down onto the ground. Not as graceful on this side, but that's okay. And then find your version of restoration or rest in this posture. Let everything relax. Maybe if you're feeling a lot of sensation here, sometimes it's helpful to visualize the physical sensation you're feeling. Maybe even the emotional sensation that it's triggering. Feel it like waves. Notice how it starts and how it builds. And after that peak, it usually starts to decline, to roll out like the tide. That wave comes, you can see it coming, you can feel it coming. It crashes, and then it spills back into the ocean. You can anticipate what happens after the peak, the dissipation. Maybe a new wave forms somewhere else. Maybe a less intense wave forms in the same space. Let's ride it. Next inhale, start to lift yourself up. Press into the hands, press into any props that you might have. Gently finesse yourself out of this posture, however you'd like. And we'll find a child's pose from here. So however you'd like to do that, I'm going to give an option for a supported child's pose since I have my pillow right here. And that sounds like a really good plan to me. So I take my knees nice and wide and I bring this pillow or bolster between the knees if I can, as close to my body as possible, and then lower down onto the bolster. Sometimes I like to bring my arms underneath this to kind of elevate it a little higher, and then just rest down, sending the hips back towards the heels. If you've lost the connection to your breath, if you've become lost in your thoughts again, come back to the sound of your inhalation, the sound of your exhalation, the feeling of the air coming in through the nostrils and coming out nice and warm. The gentle rise and fall of your body as you breathe. We'll start to lift ourselves onto the knees. Here, take your time. Find a seat and prepare to find your final resting posture here. In a seat, bring the soles of the feet to the ground, knees up. Bring the hands to the tops of the knees. Try to bring your spine as long as you can. And slowly roll back. Lift the feet back around through the spine and see if you can come down with a little bit of control. Release down to the ground. Let go of the legs. And find your final resting posture so you can take your traditional Savasana, legs and arms out. Or you can bend the knees or bring the pillow under the thighs if you wish. We'll just take a few moments here in stillness, in silence, to seal in our practice, to let this peaceful sensation resonate. Begin to deepen your breath here and gently rock the back of your head on the mat, on the earth. Giving yourself a nice gentle massage and easing back into being present. Stretch out the arms, wiggle the toes, and give yourself a big smile for making it to the end of our practice together. Thank you for joining me, for moving with me here, and I hope to see you next time. Have a great rest of your day.